My name is James Cooper from In God We Trust Ministries. I'm going to be talking at the moment about something about myself, something personal to me, and that's voting. I mean, we have elected officials in our federal government, cities and states, and they have a term, certain parts of the term, and they have terms that they have to either be re-elected, and sometimes they, after a certain amount of years, they cannot try to be re-elected to their office. Well, I'm going to make this quick and short. When I was in service, I was in Vietnam in 1966. Okay? We were not allowed to vote. You had to be 21, and I was not 21. Not before I went to Vietnam, and not after I was in Vietnam. Okay, there was a whole lot of us young men that was that way. We were not old enough to vote, to go kill and be killed, period. So you know what happened when I turned 21. I started voting and I have never stopped. But one thing that used to happen to me, every time I got in front of that voting machine, I found myself voting for the best of two evils. Yeah, I didn't agree with neither side, especially when it came to presidential elections. I may not agree with them. Neither person, not because of their age, not because of their race or sex or whatever. It was things that they were, things I read about them, things that they said that I just didn't agree with, and that's on both sides. And here I am, I'm a senior citizen, many years later, over 50 years later, to tell you the truth. A little longer than that, maybe 55 years later. And I still had that same problem. Okay? So I always built for the lesser of the two evils. And who I think should be the best in there at the office when they were trying to be elected to the office they wanted. Not only president, we talk about governors and mayors and senators and so forth. If I had to vote for them, I'd try to read up something and learn something about each individual and what things that they were talking, and part of their personal lives too. So now I'm older, and now it's time for me to let somebody know what I've been doing all my life, ever since I was old enough to vote. Now, I know they dropped it down to the voting age to 18 after Vietnam, which was a great thing that happened when they dropped their voting age from 21 to 18. That was a great thing, as far as I'm concerned. That was the great thing to do. But it still caused me a problem. So how do I solve that? You pray. I pray. Okay? There were a few times when I just couldn't bring myself, especially in the presidential elections, select neither one of them. I went to governors and senators and do some selections that I thought was okay. And sometimes I didn't, when it was that day with the senators and governors, I did the same thing. For all election people, that's what I did. If I didn't feel right, I didn't do it. But I still voted for somebody. It might have been something for the cities put up there that, hey, we want to rebuild this bridge or whatever, and I'd say yes or no, okay. I would put my views in there that way. Well, some election officials, no, I did not vote for them at all. But I voted every time the vote machines were open for somebody. That might be kind of hard for everybody to understand. And I know we have a right to vote. People fought for that right. Yeah, a lot of people fought that right to vote. I agree with that. But as a believer in Father God who art in heaven, believe in Jesus and the Holy Spirit, I have to follow the Bible. The Christian Bible, or you say the Jewish Bible, or the Catholic Bible, whichever you want to call it, I follow the Bible. And if they believe in something that my Bible says, whoa, wait a minute, in my Bible it's a sin, So if I vote for somebody that's saying, hey, this is okay to do this or to be that way, I can't vote for them. Because that makes me part of that everything. That makes me part of a crime, according to the Bible. It makes me part of a sin, according to the Bible. And I would have to ask for forgiveness. So before I vote, I have to pray. Long before before they stand from the machine, tell you the truth. And then I find myself standing in the machine and still, what shall I do? So I help always pray. And that's how I goes to vote. Yeah, I'll stand there and say, I know I shouldn't vote for that guy there or that woman there because they are doing something that my Bible says is a sin. They want people to do something and say, okay, y'all can do whatever you want, and it's a sin, according to my Bible. So I can't vote for them. Okay? But if the other person that's running against that person is worse than that person, they made a taken and commandment number 10, that's 10 commandments, commandment number 10 has no problem with breaking commandment number 10. They have no problem with breaking commandment number 9 and number 7 and number 4. I said, wow, that's a whole lot. Probably all of them, really. They need to question that person really believe in God at all. Okay? Now that's a good question. Do they really believe in God? Because the first commandment, if you love God, you wouldn't break none of them. And we all make mistakes, we all have sin, and I'm guilty myself. I apologize and always ask God forgive me for any sins I made, even sins I didn't know was a sin. But, so what can I say? Everybody has to make their own decisions. But when it comes to the Bible and mankind, I'm going to go with the Bible. Okay? Sometimes, hey, we have in a couple of years, we might have a presidential election coming up. I hate to use the word might. It will be coming up. I'm going to vote. Now, who I vote for is who I pray to God about which one I should vote for. And both sides might be doing things that something in it that they're pushing for is bad, against the Bible. I don't believe in putting somebody in slavery. I don't believe in taking freedom from anybody. God made Adam and Eve. Okay? They sinned. Ate off that tree God told them not to eat off. Cain and Abel, one brother killed the other. God didn't kill him. He kicked him out, sent him out into the wilderness, another land, and told all the others, do not touch him, do not hurt him. He threatened them not to do something to that man. Okay? People were upset that these two brothers got to fight and one was killed. And God did not kill them himself. He punished him. All right? But we have election, our senators and governors and congressmen and presidents. They're rulers over us. And even Jesus said something about, hey, why can you don't complain. Paul even talked about don't complain. I'm going to read just a few. There's a bunch of them in the Bible, but I'm not going to get to this. I'm going to keep this short. And because this is talking about me. You can do whatever you want. I just say pray before you do what you want. You see if it lines up with the Bible. Sometimes it's both sides are wrong that you have to vote for. You don't agree with neither one of them, but you feel as though you have to. Well, you pray about that. And I'm going to read this from the Bible here just real quick. Only a couple verses from the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 22, verse 17 to 22. And now, then the Pharisees went out and laid plans to trap him in his words. And you may want to write that chapter down, 22, verses 17 to to 22 in Matthew. Verse 16, I'm starting at 15, but 16, they sent their disciples to him along with Herods and teachers. They said, we know that you are a man of integrity. They're speaking about Jesus. And that you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. You aren't swayed by others because you paid no attention to who they are. Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not? But Jesus, knowing their evil intent, said, why, hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? Show me the coin used for paying the tax. They brought it to him. And he asked them, whose image is that and whose inscription? And Caesar's, they replied. Then he said to them, so give back to Caesar what is Caesar, and to God what is God's. Arguing about taxes? No, there's no argument. If that's the law of the land, Jesus said what he just said. What's Caesar? You take the word Caesar out and it says governor, president, or whoever. If they're mandating taxes, Social Security, whatever, you have to give it up. But to God, what is God? That's what you do. Now, remind the people in Titus, chapter 3, 1 and 2. Remind the people to subject to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, to be ready to do whatever is good, to slander no one, to be peaceful and considerate, and always to be gentle towards everyone. Well, that's pretty heavy now that Paul wrote that. He said a lot of things about these things. But I'm only doing to keep this short, because this is about me. I'm not trying to convince you and tell you what to do. I just ask that consider praying before you do what you do. Look at the person's personal background. Could be a fornicator, an adulteress, and have no regrets, and still doing it, and want to run to be president, want to be the mayor, want to be a senator, to write your laws. Yeah, that's right. So you should pray and let God guide you. Now, and then afterwards, you might end up voting for someone that turned out to be a terrible individual, but it won't take some of your rights from you. May not care if the law is not doing the right thing and ain't doing nothing about it. But let God punish them. That's how I look at it. They're coming under God. As I know some people say it's like in Romans chapter 13, 1 through 7. I'll remind you that once again. Read that yourself. Read it in the NIV and the King James and any other version you have. Read all the versions if you have more than one Bible and see what it says. Because one Bible might explain it better than the other. Use different words so you're going to understand it better. That's Romans 13, 1 to 7. Basically, it is said there by Paul, you have to obey God and the rulers. Okay? I mean, if we're talking about some churches, you have your pastor of your church. You might disagree with him. You might say, hey, I don't think we should be doing that. But if he's using a biblical reason for what he's doing, why would somebody try to change that? So it's just some of the things you have to watch out for. So be understanding of your rights to vote. And you have a right to defend yourself and put God first if something they want you to do or to say yes to is working against the Bible. Okay? And you might say, well, some people look at this, we're free from a lot of things that the Old Testament said and a few other little things in that neighborhood. I advise you to read the last book of the Bible, Revelations, chapter 19, 20, 21, and 22. That's when the Messiah returns. Okay, I use the word returns. I believe Jesus was who they call, in English, they call him Jesus, was the Messiah. And my Bible says he's going to return. Okay? When he returns, read Revelation 19, 20, 21, and 22. That is when everything is finished. That isn't at the cross. People say, oh, at the cross, a lot of other things we didn't have to do anymore. Well, it wasn't finished at the cross, as far as I've been reading and understand my Bible. And chapter Revelation 19, 20, 21, and 22 will give you a better understanding of how and why I believe what I believe. Okay? So, I don't want nobody to stop voting. They'll listen to me and say, I never told anybody not to vote. I never said that to nobody. Like I said, as soon as I turned 21, the first chance I got, I went to start voting. Okay, and I hope that every 18-year-old, high school, college, or wherever, go vote if you can. But if you're a believer, you're a Christian, make sure that you follow the Bible on who you vote for. And you just take one other thing. I had to understand, it took me a long time to understand this, commandment number 6 about thou shalt not kill. Well, thou shalt not kill. Now there's reasons for you may have to sometimes to protect yourself and your home. But that number 6 and number 10, as far as the Bible, the penalty is the same. From the first commandment to the 10th commandment. If you break one, and you go in the book of James, you broke one, you broke them all. So commandment number 4, the Sabbath day. Oh, you don't have to do the Sabbath day anymore. Paul said we didn't have to. And Jesus said something totally different. He said, I didn't come to change the laws or the prophet. If you haven't seen the videos on commandment number 10 and commandment number 9 and 6, please do so, because I speak about those commandments much better, especially number 9, because commandment number 9 is heavily being broken in politics, where they accuse each other of things, telling some untruths and some truths that are twisted about the other person they're running against. And according to the Bible, that's just as bad as breaking the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth, and seventh commandment. They're all the same. You break one, you broke them all. You broke one is just as bad as the other. Now you had to take that I had to take that in consideration when I go to vote. Now I'm just telling you what I do. And I have said this to some people personally to them, what I do, and I feel it's time that I'll put this online. I've been praying about it, and in all actuality, I had 2 pages down here, okay? I went to do this. I did some praying earlier, an hour or 2 ago, and I went to get the papers. I couldn't find the second one. I have another piece of paper here, but I had to write that Revelations 19, 20, and 21 on it, and 22. I had to write that on it so I wouldn't forget those the chapters. But the problem was I had another whole page like this of books and chapters in the New Testament. Now a few and a couple in the Old Testament. about obeying, and it disappeared. First thing I said, something didn't want me to tell all that or read that to you and let you know about those chapters, books, and verses. So rather than to sit back and do a whole lot of research, I couldn't find none of my typing on it. It all disappeared, which was kind of strange to me. But that's okay. I prayed about it. I prayed when I got up this morning about this. I prayed last night about this. I prayed. Okay? So a lot what I just said to you come out of me in memory, not with reading. I just read a couple of verses from the Bible in Matthew and in Titus. But I had stuff in Romans there I didn't have written, but I was asking people to read Romans 13, 1 to 7. Okay? That's all I'm asking everybody who's listening, who's watching. So it's something that I had to do. And there was no doubt in my mind that something was trying to stop me from doing it the way I set it up, but was not. But after my prayers, things have come back to me, except those verses that I missed out, but I covered them. I let you know they're there. You can find them yourself. So be careful. I have some of this on the website also. That's ingwt.org. That's In God We Trust. And that's where we have a lot of audio files and a few video files. So from here out, we're going to do all videos. Okay? And we don't ask for any money at that website. God is supporting it. But think about what I was just talking about, what I do about when it comes time to vote. Yeah, for a whole lot of years, I just went to vote. See, it was my right. They let me do the right. So I'm going to take care of it because I was over there in Vietnam with a rifle in my hand. So when it came time to vote, I wanted to vote for who's going to send me someplace to fight. Okay? So it's, and sometimes we got to vote for people that may have control over how much our taxes and everything else. And we need to pray for these people. Yeah, we need to pray for our president, our governors, and our senators. We need to pray for them. Yes, we do. We need to pray for our leaders of everything in our country. Everybody's above you as your leader. Your boss in your job. Pray for them too, or her, whichever it is. Pray for them too. And ask God to touch them and lead them in the right way. Sometimes God would have them out there doing things, and you don't even know that God's really controlling them. God letting us know He's going to let them say and do bad things for us to see and hear, to have no doubts what we should be doing ourselves. So I'm going to end this here. You let God, Jesus and the Holy Spirit be with you, touch you, be in your prayers every day. God will bless you. He will give you what you want to hear. He will give you what you need, and He will save you from yourself. So y'all have a blessed day, tonight, tomorrow, and every day. Thank you. And if you have any questions or comments, please go to the website and send us a note that you couldn't stand what I did, didn't believe anything I said and did, or agreed, or whatever. We would like to hear from you. So, thank you.